Yeah, seriously, that's great.
That's exactly what we've always needed. Why doesn't my chair move?
Are we live yet?
I think we are. It says excellent. I don't know. Kevin's the one who knows this. It says excellent. I think we're going.
Is this live?
Are we live?
If you're live, then welcome to the Fast Ones.
Welcome to the Fast Ones.
We are doing a new kind of format where we're going live.
Doing it live.
Doing it live.
In the
Bill
O'Reilly way.
My hero. Yeah. So this is new and fun, which means we get to be more up to date on our race recaps.
Yes.
And you get to be up to date on what we're up to date on.
And more authentically unedited. And crappy.
So no more cursing that we edit out.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and Max isn't allowed to fall asleep halfway through an episode.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Because we can edit out the times where I just take a nap.
Things that we...
When Mike's like, aerodynamics, and I go to sleep. You don't see that behind the scenes.
It's also a two-shot, which means that you can't sniff and burp and do all those.
I never thought of that, actually.
Yeah, so you gotta be...
Luckily, I'm not drinking soda today.
Oh, good.
Drinking straight Wu-Tang juice.
Just the Woo juice.
I think the only thing I'm going to sponsor now that Esteban is going to Haas is Wu-Tang.
Yeah,
the only thing that hasn't let me down.
The only thing that did make it this weekend
is that Wu-Tang is forever.
Oh, what a brutal.
Okay. But today we're going to talk about the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Yes.
Probably going to talk about the Qatar Grand Prix.
Yes.
A lot of other things that have been happening in the world of Formula One.
Yes.
There's been plenty of things happening.
I don't even know if we talked about Interlagos, but let's not open that one.
What? Do you want to cue the song?
Wait, okay, Kevin. It's just going to make me play the song. It's like people like it or something.
I really hope that the fans can hear it.
And we're going to be dancing the whole time. This is what we do during the intro song. Normally is just dance.
This is going good. Okay. So, but before we get into the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, all of the stuff that has been happening, there's been something that's been taking up a lot of space in my mind.
Okay.
And out of all the things out there, it is not the Constructors' Championship going to McLaren. It is not Haas taking P7 in the championship. It's not future things like Lewis going to Ferrari. It is that George Russell, in his heart of hearts, believes that Max Verstappen is capable of murder.
Fully.
And this is for real.
This is not a joke.
He believes that Max, if given the chance, will murder people.
Actually cause death.
Yes. Specifically, that if he hadn't won in 2021, he would have hunted down Michael Massey and murdered him. He said that to the stewards. Yes, this is what is going on in George Russell's mind. And what is just wildly taking up space in my brain right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's worse, because it started off, if you're not aware, it started off George. I think he's high off this fact that he is now the senior at Mercedes.
Immediately.
Notice I didn't say the number one driver.
No, the senior.
He's just the guy's been the longest.
The elderly statesman.
Because Kimi Antonelli's the new guy coming in.
And he's 17.
And he's going to be the number one driver.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my hope.
Yeah.
But I think he's now trying to stand up to bullies. He's trying to make a name for himself.
Yeah.
And he first started off by calling Max a bully.
Yeah.
Saying that he talks trash.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's worse, being called a bully and that you're a trash talker, or someone insinuating that you are capable of murder if given the chance. And I think George is insane.
He's on a kick. Not a good one.
Not a good one.
I think that it's funny that how did he suddenly forget, or how are fans forgetting that George Russell is the one that crashed into Bottas at Imola at the highest speed part of the track, and then punched him in the head.
Ran over to him, punched him in the head.
Max pushed Ocon off of a scale in Brazil for ruining a race win.
Yeah.
That wasn't egregious.
Yeah.
Punching someone's helmet after a 30G impact with the wall at 200 miles.
If they're fine.
No.
Just hoping that you can deal one final blow before he dies.
Absolutely insane.
I love what has it been? I love that George Russell. we have made lots of predictions on this show.
Yes.
And a lot of them have come true. I attribute that all to you because you have a good mind for things. But one thing that I never thought would come true is this impersonation that we have had of George Russell.
Oh,
Father, Toto. Which now Toto is father.
Yeah, he is.
Because at one
Father
moment,
Wolf.
I don't know if it was this week, that there was a press conference with Toto Wolff and George in the background, as if he ran to his dad and was like, "Can you please come tell everyone that Max is being mean to me?"
The man from the Netherlands. He's Dutch.
Toto, please tell them that this is not how racing is happening.
We don't do this. We don't behave like this in the GPDA.
I saw that someone took the Malfoy meme with like Draco and his dad, and just like below it, it's the exact picture with Toto and George behind it. And
it's so amazing.
And what is more amazing is that it's happening at a similar time where Drake is suing Kendrick for losing a rap battle.
It's 100%.
It's just
that George is Drake in this
equation.
It's
very draconian move.
We're going to have... Draconian.
Yeah.
We're going to sue. You know what we're going to do? We're going to hold a press conference. We're going to stop Max Verstappen.
Yes.
For mouthing off and for being dangerous with a press conference. Yeah, Drake, you're going to definitely be seen as the cooler one here by suing Kendrick for defamation.
And George Russell, yeah. Every single movie I've seen that's about racing, there's always like an antagonist. There's always a rivalry.
1,000%.
And they always settle it on the track.
Yes.
George Russell is settling it by bringing his dad into a meeting. It's so lame. And regardless, I think Max he plays hard.
Yeah.
He does trash talk. He gets fined for it.
Yeah.
We know he got community service for trash talking.
For swearing in a press conference.
And it's not just drivers, it's the FIA, it's anyone in the world.
Right.
And
he's also drives aggressive.
Yeah.
He's elbows out.
We know that's
He does
him.
things that are absolutely past the line.
Right.
Right?
But I hate George more for this stupid move.
It's absolutely like it shows just like the scraping to try to elevate yourself.
Yeah.
And where I'll give George credit is that I will say there is a lot of FIA drama going on right now, and George is the one with the Grand Prix Drivers Association.
He's the hall monitor of the drivers.
Yes, he is putting it to the FIA to say, like, you guys are doing iffy stuff. Figure that out.
Yeah.
I am grateful that is happening. But the truth be told is that it's like ultimately Max is still... I mean, he's not even really George's biggest problem. I think that's part of why this is so childish.
It's crazy. I think George Russell has recently said that he is looking forward next year to like taking the championship fight to Max. And I don't think anyone believed him.
Yeah.
I didn't believe him.
I don't believe him.
I was like, were you in the fight this year?
No.
I think like there was probably an interviewer that went up to Max and was like, hey, George Russell has recently been saying that he's going to take the champion fight to you. He thinks that you are a bully and that you are a murderer. And Max's response first was probably like, I don't think about George Russell.
Yeah. Who's
and
George?
Left it at that.
Yeah.
He's like, is he still racing?
Yeah, who's that guy?
Yeah, so the idea that George in his brain and in his heart of hearts, he's going to win this championship next year is funny because I think Kimmy will destroy him.
I mean,
hopefully.
I think there's also got to be just some like small underlining fact that maybe George is still fearing that Max might replace him.
You think that?
There's like a little bit of that in the back of his mind that like Max isn't fully happy at Red Bull. They're falling apart. Mercedes might be trending upward.
Yeah.
This is his potential spot. It's either Kimi Antonelli or George that loses their seat. Max could 100% replace either of them.
Yeah.
And if Toto Wolff is given the opportunity, Kimi's delivering. See you, George.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's a little bit of that going on in George's head, that he's got a little bit of, I need to protect where I'm at.
Yeah, I just don't think it's a good fit for him to look and act like a leader. It's been weird.
It's very simple and absolutely on the
okay, now that that's off my chest.
Yes.
Let's dive into the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the last race of the year.
Last race of the year.
Mike, how was it?
That was one of the best Abu Dhabi races I've seen
since 2021.
Since the controversial one.
Yeah.
But man, it was. I said this earlier today, and I'm going to say it again. I love Oscar Piastri. I think that's known amongst our viewers. But Max taking out Oscar on the first lap was the best thing that could happen to this race.
How so?
It just gave two front-running cars more reason to surge up through the pack. Mm-hmm. I love when the faster race cars are in the back, because then you have Charles, Oscar, and Max all on a charge. Lewis Hamilton. Everybody started in the back of this race.
Yeah.
And so it just created such variables of like, whoa, where is everybody right now? Where's the strategy?
Yeah.
What's going on? And Piastri runs into the back of Colin Pinto, and I think that penalty was questionable beyond reason.
Oh, is that why they got a penalty? I didn't see that for some reason.
I mean, I saw Colin Pinto move under braking, and then Piastri gave him a puncture by running into him. In my opinion, I don't know if it was penalty worthy, but they gave him a 10-second penalty, which is why...
That's the standard now.
Yeah.
It's been happening all season.
Right.
Yeah.
But it just, Piastri, that really set his race back on his charge, right?
Yeah. When they crashed into each other, it was almost symmetrical, the way that they spun out in unison.
Yeah. It was
almost
cute.
Like a complete 360.
Yeah.
And who was it that just locked right in and kept going? It was Oscar.
Yeah.
Or Max.
Or no, Max was. Max. Yeah.
Yeah, it almost looked like it didn't affect him at all.
Yeah, Max did
like
a 360 and just was like, all right, and
just like kept going.
Yeah,
it was wild.
Really cool.
And then Sergio was just out.
I'm sorry. I've gotten to the point where I can't even let you say his name. It's just like, I can't. Yeah, what the crap?
Yeah.
It's
crazy that he made it this far in the season.
Yeah.
In that seat.
And then we've made it here.
Is Red Bull still pretending they're going to keep him next year?
I mean, what was it that Joe Guan Yu... No, they said that they aren't.
Oh, they did?
They have said... Okay, so this was actually my favorite thing that Martin Brundle said during one of the practice sessions.
Okay.
Or maybe it was Crofty. It was one of the Sky Sports announcers. Mm-hmm. But they said that Red Bull is saying that Sergio will not be racing for the team next year. And Sergio's saying, I will be. And what this boils down to is now it's a contractual issue. It sounds like Sergio thinks that he has a leg to stand on to keep a seat.
Okay. Yeah.
And the team's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
And I think that this is going to get embarrassing.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the F1 driver who's like, no, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Because there's no way that Red Bull would have left something out of the contract that says they couldn't.
I feel like
out.
Kevin might barf up something here.
Kevin, our producer.
Management is meeting next week.
Oh, okay.
Official to talk about this.
Okay, so management is going to...
They're going to sit Sergio Perez down and be like, we need to have the talk.
Yeah, so management's going to sit down with Sergio Perez next week, as per Kevin's comment here. And they're going to have the heart
talk.
The heart to heart.
They're going to explain some things to him that he doesn't know.
Yeah. So in your contract, it says that if you are terrible, you're not here.
When two teams really love each other.
Yeah. So, with two teams. No, but I think that the Sergio Perez out on lap 2 it just really is the icing on the cake for a terrible year.
Yeah, I looked up his race finishes for the year. He started off with a couple podiums.
Yeah.
And then you just see a slow decline down the order as the races go on.
Right.
And yeah, everyone's been calling for it. And I feel bad for Sergio in a little bit of a way, but not really.
Well, I mean,
not really at all.
Let's put it this way, too.
Say that.
I mean, I would, but I also think that, like, look, I'll put it this way. I think that when you look at this year, and just to talk about Red Bull in general, since losing Adrian Newey, it has been the decline of the team. They have gone backwards since he announced he was leaving. And look,
we've announced tons of people that have left Red Bull.
Right. It's not just Adrian, but to the point that Adrian is a pillar of that team. He plays a very foundational role.
Yeah.
The team seems to have struggled to really continue the momentum. But in addition to that, like, it seems like Max's car has been able to somewhat find the grip, and Checo just nowhere near it.
Yeah.
And that does seem like a little bit of a team issue. But on top of that, look, the teams... just to even speak to Max real quick. Max is the first world champion from the third place constructor since Nelson Piquet. his
since
father-in-law.
his father-in-law.
Yeah.
Weird.
So, or technical father-in-law, his partner's dad.
Yeah, weird.
So that's the third fastest car world champion. The last time that happened was Nelson Piquet.
That's
So
wild.
pretty crazy that Max has equaled that.
Was that
now.
also the Jos Verstappen as a teammate?
No, that was Michael Schumacher with Benetton.
Oh, that was the last time. What was it?
That the gap, the points gap between first and his
And
teammate
was that
was
much.
that many points. Yeah,
Weird.
So
It all comes back to Max Verstappen.
it does. He's a
it's a conspiracy.
conspiracy.
Weird.
So very interesting. Also, another really random fun fact.
Yeah. What
Max Verstappen's retiring.
is he?
I think so.
You think so?
This
that was
is my
That was
prediction.
in my question. How long is Max going to keep racing? And you say this because
Kelly's pregnant,
yes,
and that is a parachute.
With
Those are the words of Lewis Hamilton.
Max's baby.
With Max's
Okay,
baby, correct.
cool.
Not that would Max's. What does he call it himself? He's a bonus dad for Kvyat's baby.
Because Kvyat
Yes.
didn't ever win a race. Why
Bless
else
you.
would Kelly stick around?
Bless you, Kvyat. So, but yeah, so Max is going to be a dad.
Yeah, and that baby is going to have the blood of 7 championships.
Yes, which
inside
is
of
something
him.
that you corrected me on. I was like, I think it's 5.
Well, I had just been watching the Senna series.
Oh, okay, and they talk about Nelson Piquet.
And it was something in there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. He won a lot.
Yeah, I mean the South American world champions are definitely very proud of each other. That's a
Yeah.
group, right?
Uh-huh.
So, but anyways, the reason that I think this though is, look, Lewis Hamilton says that kids and a wife or a parachute slows you down.
I was
And
just
so-
thinking this the other day because who else on the grid is not married? Fernando Alonso. Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
These guys that are great drivers and driving way late into their 30s and 40s.
And still
still great.
Yeah, and still amazing, right?
Yeah. They're focused on that one thing.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's a part of it, but also Zandvoort falling off as a race, I thought was super interesting. Like Zandvoort popped up on the calendar because Max was suddenly a competitor for the world championship. That racetrack hadn't been on the calendar since like the 70s, 80s.
Okay.
And so when that returned, it was like, hey, Max could possibly win this race. Let's have a race for the Dutch.
Yeah.
Right. And now it's suddenly dropped off, and all the promoters are like, this was such a fun run. You know, we're so proud of what we were able to accomplish, blah, blah, blah. 26 is our last year. And I read that and I was like, Max retires in 26.
You think?
He's got a baby on the way.
Yeah.
Zandvoort falls off the calendar. Everything seems to be pointing in one direction
Yeah.
here.
How old is Max now?
He's 27?
27?
Something
Late
like that.
20s?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
He still has plenty of life left in him.
And he said that he wants to do WEC, you know, and other
Okay.
things. He wants to.
Yeah.
He's
He's
27.
He's honestly one of those guys, like we've talked about. He's like a DGAF guy. Like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
And he enjoys online racing just as much as like real racing.
Yeah.
He's a weird guy.
Man, have you seen that clip where the dude swerves under braking in front of him? Oh,
Is
man,
he like
I'll have to
sim
show it to you.
racing?
It's so great. Yeah. He's sim racing, and someone like, he goes left for a move and the guy swerves, and then he goes right for the second move to pass.
Uh-huh.
And the guy blocks right. And then like F1, that's the rule, right? You can't move twice.
Uh-huh.
And so the guy moves twice, and Max just lets off the brake and pile drives him, and he goes, "That's what you get for moving twice." And it's, I was like, he does this in an F1 car, people.
And George Russell saw that clip and was like, "This guy's a murderer.
100%.
This guy is a
It
psychopath."
just added more fuel.
If you're
to that
willing,
fire,
he is a Karen. He's like, if you're willing to do this in a video game, you are willing to do this in real life.
you will
This is why
do it.
I have never played a shooter game, and Toto can witness to that.
Yes.
I have never cheated in a video game or killed a person in a video game ever in my life.
Not once. Not even on.
I was never invited to play video games with friends, which is partly why he never did.
This is a big reason why he's the
doesn't
way
have
he
friends.
is. Yeah.
Toto
100%.
is his father friend.
So his only friend.
Okay, so enough about Max
sorry.
Verstappen.
Moving on.
But other things from the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. What happened with Valtteri Bottas? Like a huge lockup right into Kevin Magnussen. And
Just
I
a fat
don't
lockup.
think that it was Magnussen's fault.
No, it wasn't.
It seemed
at
like
all.
it was a clear pass,
No.
and it just ruined Magnussen's race. Not that he was having the best race, but
No.
possible point finish.
No, I mean, he was running great. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Hulk as well. They both had an outstanding race.
Mm-hmm.
But what's that? Oh, yeah, he did get fastest lap. 'cause
Kevin
he-
Magnussen got fastest lap?
Yeah, which is
Wow,
great.
That's cool. Good way to finish your career.
For real.
Yeah.
But I think what it looked like to me is Bottas was on a different strategy, older
And
hard
that strategy
tires.
was, okay. It was just to rocket into a corner.
just to lose it. No, but it seemed as though like he was trying to outbrake K-Mag.
Yeah.
K-Mag's on a way better, way fresher set of tires. And so he's like, I can do it. I can brake as deep in the corner as K-Mag can. And he just couldn't.
Yeah.
And so when he locked up, K-Mag went for the corner being like, I'm for sure passed.
Yeah, which
And
was.
just had no idea that
that Valtteri was going straight.
Bottas is like, oh crap. And where like Bottas is a super experienced race car driver, we haven't seen that error out of him
No.
hardly ever.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I'm like, I forgive this.
Was this Valtteri's last race?
It was for both of them.
Yeah.
So,
So,
that was
he
a
was
bummer.
probably just trying to go for the gold.
Yeah, he's like, if I can just
One last thrill into the corner.
yeah, seriously though, if I can have at least a highlight
What
from
What do they say in Lord of the Rings? One last ride into the night when
Yeah,
they go
yeah.
out to beat all the orcs.
yeah, it's just
It's Valtteri.
for Bottas.
Just right into Magnussen. That sucks.
Yeah.
It sucked.
It was a bummer.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess just to talk about Haas, Hulk qualified P4 for this
Wild,
race.
man.
Just the outright pace of the Haas is nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the final race of the year. This racetrack does have a lot of parallels to a lot of racetracks on the calendar now with the adjustments they made prior to 21. And so this is great form to end the season on
Yeah.
as far as what the car looks like next year in the hands of some talent. So Ollie Behrman and Esteban, they should be really optimistic
Yeah.
with Hulk qualifying fourth.
Yeah. I was kind of feeling, I was like, whoa. What if there is a mix-up? What if there's a crash? Hulk ends up on a podium.
Oh man, I was hoping
I was like,
so much.
a first podium for Nico and
Yeah.
for Haas on like their last.
On the
ugh.
yeah.
And then taking Alpine. They didn't end up beating Alpine in the constructors, which bummed me out.
Yeah.
But I'm still mad that Alpine had that fluke of a race in Brazil.
If they hadn't gotten that race,
They'd be nowhere.
They'd be nowhere near.
Yeah.
But we'll take P7.
Yeah, great finish.
Great result.
And Pierre Gasly's been crushing it lately.
Yeah.
So good for him.
It's been good to see it. It's, it's crazy to see how far apart the two cars are. But I think that like Esteban wasn't running the same spec in Qatar, Vegas. And then with Jack Doohan, I don't know if they updated the car. So that's a question mark. So it's hard to say. Sometimes there's a discrepancy. in car.
Weird to fire Esteban early. Doesn't feel good getting him to our team.
Yeah, I mean, it's also just feels like that was such an odd decision.
Yeah.
Esteban is the only race winner for Alpine ever,
Oh, yeah.
and the last winner for Renault period since Fernando Alonso.
Yeah.
So like, it's like okay,
Maybe it's just let's get Doohan. Jack Doohan.
get him doing it.
Get him doing it one race earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they have that young drivers test. We talked about this because that FP1 session for this weekend is really crazy. There's so many new drivers, young drivers that are in the car.
Yeah.
But they do the young driver test now this whole week, basically. And with that gives Jack an opportunity to run a Grand Prix, really get his feet wet, and at least immersed in that before the young driver test.
Yeah.
Which is something that, like, Ollie Behrman was supposed to do a Haas test this weekend, but because he did so many races this year as a super sub, he didn't qualify because now he had too many hours in an F1 car
Oh, there's a limit.
to be considered a young driver for the young driver test.
Oh.
For like the
So who
FP1
did
session.
it?
They didn't do one.
Oh.
Because they were like, well, we've satisfied it, I guess.
Would have been hilarious if they did not hilarious, but really rad. Like Chloe Chambers, who's the Haas.
Yeah,
girl.
totally. It would have been rad if they'd given her a
her
shot.
into the F1 car.
100% that'd
Let
be
her
cool.
chuck it around the track.
Yeah.
Why not? Dude, I have more notes from Abu Dhabi because there was a lot
let's
of
keep going.
Man, like you said, there was a lot of people on an amazing charge.
Yes.
Charles Leclerc had a great race.
Unbelievable race. He was
Yeah.
up, 8 positions on the first lap
That
or
was
something?
wild, out of nowhere.
So good.
And then there was that like very desperate and just like depressing radio from Charles Leclerc. It's like, is this how we're losing it or whatever?
Yeah. It's just beep.
It's like, that's at this point.
how it goes.
Charles is accustomed
Yes.
to like failure and depression.
And the Ferrari curse.
That like when he got on the podium, I was expecting to see like a very sad Charles.
Yeah.
But no, he looked happy.
No, I
this
mean,
is his this is his element now.
well, I mean, but also P2, like, and that close to winning the championship.
Yeah.
I feel like I maybe I'm forgetting, but I don't recall Ferrari ever being this close since Charles been there.
But not in like the Sebastian Vettel area?
I feel like in the Vettel days there was only one competitive season, so it might have been P2, but it wasn't like within
Bring that up, Kevin.
few. It was.
I like having Kevin here.
It wasn't within such a small window of points to Mercedes.
When was
right?
the
'Cause
last time Ferrari finished P2? Is I guess.
I would guess it was that year.
They've probably been closer.
Yeah,
or
but I don't
recent.
think it's been that tight.
Yeah.
where they were actually
so
like the
close.
final race.
What was the
deciding.
actual difference?
I think it ended up being like 16 points or something.
okay.
That was the deficit between.
Man, I was just hoping and waiting for Lando
yeah.
to make a mistake,
just to
crash,
to pull a Singapore and
Yeah.
just like
and
near the
then
barrier.
Ferrari comes out on top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would have loved for Carlos to win his last race with Ferrari.
Oh, that would have been so rad.
So epic.
I was hoping for that.
Well, real quick, one last thing on
Yeah.
Charles though. One moment with Charles that made me laugh was his his race engineer comes over the radio and he's like, okay, settle down, get into a rhythm. Charles is like, what rhythm? This is the rhythm.
Yeah, that was a great one. Yeah.
Just past 16 people. What rhythm are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, it was the weirdest radio message from the team. It literally felt so ill-placed. It
Yeah.
was so strange.
Well, Ferrari has come a long way since the Binotto days. How
So-
many
so
years has
far.
Fred Vasseur been there? 2 years?
Yeah.
And now they're actually competing for the constructors.
It was very close.
Very, very close. So it was good to see that. And like,
So in 2022, they got second place.
oh, in
Okay.
2022 they got second place. That was so recent.
700. They lost by 205 points.
But see, that's what I
205
mean. By
points.
like the deficit was
Massive
huge.
deficit.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So like second in the championship has happened a couple of times, but like
But there
them
was never hope.
actually
There was never
competing for
hope in
first.
2022.
Yeah. 22 they started the season looking like they were going to take it.
Yeah.
And then Red Bull just went.
There was hope in this last race.
Yeah, totally.
Especially when Oscar Piastri went straight to the back.
But that's what I mean. That was
Yeah,
part
and
of
it was
what
like,
that
oof, and
level
then
of
they were
interest.
running second and third.
Yeah.
Did finish with 666 points this season. So
666 points?
Ferrari did?
No.
Oh, McLaren.
No.
So
the Devil's team.
There's a bad omen for next year.
Not just an omen, but who has Zach been getting his luck from? Satan. For real.
Off mic.
Has Zach sold his soul? New theory.
New
Zach
theory.
has sold his soul. He is looking looking thinner.
Yeah. This sweatshirt's actually black.
If you rearrange the
I
name,
don't know why the camera's making it white.
If you rearrange the letters in McLaren, you get Beelzebub, which is weird. That's crazy.
Some very weird
Well,
things going on here.
I'm gonna go home and burn all my McLaren merch just to be safe.
It's probably a good,
Just
probably
to
a
be
good
safe.
decision. Yeah.
Dude, the other thing that made me so happy at the end of the race.
Is my car floating back here? Sorry, continue.
The other thing that made me so happy is Hamilton beating George
Oh, man.
on the last lap,
And just like,
and he had a
The
great charge.
ultimate.
What did he start race from? P17.
I think it was like 18.
and he ends up in fourth.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it because
It's such
George
a
has
good
been riding
charge.
so high and mighty, being like, "I'm beating Lewis.
I'm the team captain.
Yeah, it's me, Toto." And for George to just lose it to Lewis.
When was the last time Toto had a press conference for you getting bullied?
He would
Right?
never do this for you. And
He
Lewis
didn't
is
do
like,
that
it's
for
because
you."
I just take it to the track.
It's because I beat everyone.
It's because
George.
everyone's scared of me, George. But yeah, it was a good race from Lewis.
Totally.
And I don't usually root for Lewis,
No, but man, that was such a good charge.
especially when the villain is George.
Right. Well, then
Yeah.
and then it became like,
Please do this for everyone.
yeah, totally. And I love that
He's getting insufferable.
his race engineer comes over and he's like, stating the obvious, but keep it clean.
Oh, really?
With Lewis. Yeah, that was the statement.
To George?
Yeah.
Oh.
And George was like, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. But tell father that I'm doing it for him.
I race as a proper gentleman, not like that scoundrel Max.
I'm not going to run it wide.
If you go to the actual like full length on board, that's what it says.
There's a lot more.
There's a lot. It's a
There's
whole
a lot
paragraph.
more conversation.
A lot of private club
Sky aired the, of course,
talk. A lot of royalty.
but there was a lot more after that.
yeah, a lot of,
Of
like
course.
file a complaint talk.
If he doesn't behave as per the conduct code of 24 Section A, letter C,
Yeah.
then we will have a discussion. That part they didn't air.
Yeah. Which is too bad. But
Yes.
trust us, it's there. So are you sad to see Lewis leave that Mercedes seat?
No.
He did some donuts.
Yes.
Yeah, and he got down and hugged the car.
Yeah.
Had a moment with the car.
I mean, and like I felt like leading up to this weekend, one of the things that I kept thinking to myself is that I couldn't leave my microphone alone. First of all,
Okay, yeah.
secondly, that like I felt like Mercedes kind of didn't do a great job
This race or this year?
with the Lewis exit.
Okay, yeah. Explain.
I feel like this race should have, like, to me, like, why wasn't the car special?
Oh, yeah.
Why wasn't there like a Lewis race suit or something? Like, it seems like this is your six-time world champion.
Six-time world champion. He,
It's because they're mad. Yeah.
I think he has the most wins in Abu Dhabi.
Yes.
He's the king.
He has more championships
Than George.
and more race wins than anyone ever.
Yeah.
But he won 6 titles with Mercedes. I believe that's Michael Schumacher won 6, I think, with Ferrari. He won 1 with Benetton, and then I think 6 with Ferrari. So a similar trajectory, right?
Yeah.
And so it just seemed to me like this is an opportunity to really be a gracious. This is our
big
final
send off.
Right. This is
Really,
our last
really
moment
proper
with
thing.
Yeah, with like a true all-star, someone that people are never going to forget. And especially associate with the Mercedes brand forever.
Yeah.
And to me, like that, this was such a big opportunity. And I like saw the edit they made for him, and I was kind of like, yeah, this is okay.
Kind of fall flat.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it just stunk of like, how dare you? And to me, I'm like, how dare you? Did you guys see what was happening within the team? As soon as George came on, you could tell it was already leaning the direction of youth,
Yeah.
as opposed to being like, this is a 6-time world champion.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Let him retire and then hand the torch off.
Yeah. And do you think that they have him kind of gearing the car towards George?
Oh, big time.
That was my suspicion. And Lewis is good. He knows that car well enough that like he can still hang, even though they've been kind of like building it George's way.
Yeah.
Because they obviously want George next year to be performing really well. So why not start tuning it to his needs and getting it so that next year you just enter off on like a really great foot.
Right. This season would have been the one to make that decision.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
More so than in the past.
Yeah. Lewis still managed wins though, which is
Right.
I think just as many as George.
But I think that when I
Yeah.
see like the Mercedes with the zero pod design and you remember Lewis said that the seating position was too far forward. Like Lewis was so outspoken about the design and the layout of the car, and George was completely silent through all of that.
George thought it was fast, remember?
Yeah, he says, fun, looks fast, sexy.
Yeah.
You're like, ew.
It was probably his idea to
But
do.
that's
He's like, what if we got rid of the AirPods?
What if it was
Side pods.
What if it got rid of the AirPods? They're like, George,
They're
we're
like
not sponsored
George's
by
side pods.
Yeah, that's Apple.
That's Max from
That's-
Fast Ones.
So, but I think that like George's emphasis in the team and being the young driver and saying, we can fix this, we can do this, we can fix this. I believe in the car. I believe in what we're doing.
Yeah.
Really pushed Mercedes into multiple seasons of trying the zero pod thing, while Lewis was saying the seating position's too far forward.
Yeah.
And the car sucks. Fix it. And they didn't listen to him, and I think that was ultimately a decision why he exited.
Dang.
I really do
That
think
makes
that
sense. That
has
makes
a
sense.
ton of it to play.
Yeah. I like that. Shoot. Any other thoughts on the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix?
I just think it was a great freaking race.
Yeah.
We should have more cars colliding at the front that are still competitive and in the race more often.
Yeah.
It's just so good. I love charges from the back. It's so rad.
Kevin, what's our time?
You're like 33 minutes in.
We're 33 minutes in.
I'm
Okay.
amazed that we have gotten this far.
I mean, I have lots of other thoughts outside of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix
Let's go.
because there's been a lot of things happening. I don't know. What do you want to talk about? I think I I've been watching the Senna series.
Okay.
I looked back on this year and thought about my favorite moments throughout the year.
Okay.
And then there's also the idea that next year, how many like new rookies are on the grid? A lot. I was putting that together today. I mean, if you count Liam Lawson as like a rookie, which I kind of do.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people.
A lot of new guys.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
So any of those strike your fancy?
Let's go down the list. What do you think of the new Senna series? Because I haven't.
Okay.
I've watched about 5 seconds of it.
Yeah.
And I was interested, and Carlos, my dad, has been telling me he loves it, but he watched it in Portuguese with subtitles because it was shot.
Well, I watch it, and I didn't change a language setting. They just speak the language in the country that they're in. So Senna's from Brazil.
Oh, okay. So
when he's in Brazil,
I've only gotten 5
Portuguese.
seconds in. That's the normal way.
Yeah, and then when he goes to England and learns English, he's speaking English to the people in England.
Okay, Carlos, what are you talking about? You made it
Maybe
sound
he
like
has
you
a
changed some setting.
full
here.
setting Portuguese.
He's like, I'm gonna
He's
watch.
like, I want it as Senna would have heard it his whole life.
Immersed as possible. I want to be in there with Senna.
See, I don't know
My
much
dad
about.
speaks Spanish. He doesn't speak Portuguese. So.
But he's identifying as Senna right now.
Yeah,
I
he is
imagine.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Slightly different,
I
weight distribution. But
I don't know much about Senna, so it's cool to see this series.
yes.
It's an autobiographical fictional drama, whatever. It's
Right.
all so it's
Based
all
on
very,
true events,
it's,
right.
Every scene seems like super like heavy-handed, trying to nail a
Just
point
like
down on like
dialed up.
this is what made him a legend. This is
yeah,
what he
yeah.
did when he was 10 that made him a legend.
Yeah, this is
which
when-
I'm fine with.
This is when that French FIA jerk twisted his arm and made him die.
Is that what happened? I haven't got there yet. Don't
Yeah,
spoil it.
I'm sorry.
No spoilers. So
Keep
I
watching,
think,
people.
So a French guy kills him.
Or a British one named
But
Adrian
it's
Newey.
fun. Any sort of like motorsport movie, I am all in on. Go
Yeah.
watch it. If you're curious about it, go watch it. If you don't think you'd like it, just watch it. It's fun. It's motorsport. It's Formula One. It's cool because there's a lot of these old F1 legends that pop up in it. Like he's racing Martin Brundle in England when he's in Formula Ford.
Right.
And then later on when he's in Formula One, like all these old guys like Alan Prost and James Hunt are kind of in the mix. And it's cool.
Yeah,
I
totally.
love seeing it. It's when I liked the Braun GP on Hulu, I was like, oh, this is like the origin series for current Formula One.
Right.
And watching Senna's like, ooh, this is the origin prequel series for Braun. Like,
Yeah,
it's
totally.
all just history.
And it's funny how they overlap.
It's funny how history is linear.
No, but I mean, you hear these decades that are like Niki Lauda and James Hunt, and you don't think that they overlap with Senna,
Yeah.
right? And you're like, oh,
Or that Brundle was there.
right. You're,
I'm like, I know Brundle.
you're like, was he as funny on the grid back then?
They didn't give him a lot of lines so far that I've seen. One thing I would wish they would do better is the races are just a little too cut up,
Yeah.
and they're so. Have you seen any of it? There's so many close-ups on like pedal shifting, holding the steering wheel, a tire turning on the thing that like they don't ever show you context or pan out to show you the track
Right,
or
right.
how close he is to the person he's racing.
budget. Yeah.
Which is too bad. Netflix
Yeah.
has a ton of money. Honestly, it's still good racing. It's
Right.
still fun.
Right.
They could have done. I wish they just would have like panned out a bit. But there is one scene that made me laugh. There's a lot that I also think is funny, but there's one scene that made me laugh where at the end of episode 2, spoilers.
Yeah.
I
I know the story well, so
think
I'm okay.
He moves from Tolman to John Player's special.
Okay, Lotus. Yep.
Lotus. Okay, yeah. And the guy from Lotus, it's like this cool scene where he's going to meet this guy from Lotus to, I guess, sign the contract.
Colin
and be like,
Chapman.
or no, Parr,
Oh, I don't know.
Frank Parr.
Something like Helen Parr, isn't that the Incredibles name?
I don't know.
It's Bob Parr.
I don't know.
Anyways,
It's like he invites him to this big castle mansion.
yeah.
To kind of come and see the car. It's like this very like artistic way of being like ending on a cliff note for this episode, showing you that Senna is now with Lotus.
Yeah, he's arrived.
But what's weird, he goes into the mansion. They go up a flight of stairs in this castle.
Right.
And they go in this big room, and the car is in the room.
Yeah.
And he's looking at it. And I'm like, how the heck did they get this car in the room?
How did that get there?
Did they take it apart, bring it up the stairs just so they could show Senna in this room, in this castle?
Right.
I'm sure it would have happened in a garage.
Well, No, but here's the thing.
Sorry to break the illusion.
All I'll say is that I have heard stories where they have these castles, these houses in Europe that have driveways to different floors.
No.
I'm not joking.
Oh, gosh.
This is such a thing for people that
Okay.
are excessively wealthy. And so it's like, yeah, you go
So
up a flight of
this isn't a
overly
plot
fictionized. No, it's like it's totally possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll keep watching the series.
Yeah.
I was out.
You're like,
I was
that
like,
it.
that's fictional.
Yeah, what a lot of crap. Then I built that car.
I'm gonna go back to Rings of Power.
You from the corner.
No, I promise I've never watched a second of Rings of Power. And that is my promise to the fans.
He also won't watch Andor as much as I push. He won't watch it. Andor's great.
I got a couple episodes in.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
I
Anyway.
forgive you now.
I'm all down for episode 3. It's coming, and I'm stoked. Senna's been fun.
Star Wars Episode 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm finally making my way through the episodes.
All right. Moving on to the next topic, which is your favorite moments of the year.
Favorite moments of the year.
Yes, let's go.
And I think we would all agree. Charles Leclerc winning in Monaco.
Was the most boring Monaco Grand Prix I have ever watched. The result was
epic and heartwarming.
but the worst freaking race.
Right. But looking back, I was like, there have been some insanely iconic moments for the
huge.
history of Formula One this
Yep.
year.
Yeah, totally.
And Charles Leclerc finally winning in his home city
Right.
was so epic.
Yeah.
And I
would
look
agree with
back
that.
and I don't remember the boring race.
Yeah.
I just remember I was like, Charles Leclerc is happy for once.
Yes, totally.
And so that was a great day.
100%. Sad Charles was happy Charles.
And sad Charles is happy us.
Yes. Yes. When he's writing piano music, we have content.
We're not happy he's sad. It's just funny.
It just makes for better days.
We need another album.
We just need another drop.
Do you think we're going to get another album in the off season?
I want it to come mid-season.
How many followers does Charles Leclerc have on Spotify? Monthly listeners does Charles Leclerc have on Spotify? While you're checking, here's my next thing.
We are checking.
Here's my next favorite moments.
Okay.
And it's similar. Lewis Hamilton winning in Silverstone.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That was fun.
That was one of those races where it was super popular for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys have watched for a long time, you know that Lewis is somebody that we are more critical of. But
We love making fun of Lewis.
Yeah.
And he's fun to hate.
He's fun to just make fun of because he makes
Yeah.
himself a very easy target.
But even the hardened haters
Can appreciate a
liked
really
seeing
hard-earned
him-
win.
Yeah, and having it be his home race, another hometown win that was
Yeah.
like long coming. It was just great.
Yeah, it was a great.
253,000.
253,000.
Oh wow!
Just a little less than us. Way to go, Charles.
Dang, that's if he ever stops racing, he has a career.
Yeah, potentially.
And then my third favorite and final moment of the year was when George Russell goes disqualified from the Belgian Grand Prix
For tires.
for tires.
For not picking up enough
I
trash.
remember watching that race and being like, crap, he's going to win.
Yeah.
And then he won. I was like, oh, this is stupid.
This
I
is
was
so
so mad.
dumb. Yeah.
And the wave of relief when he
Yeah.
was disqualified. That was...
You were Ben Affleck with the cigarette standing
Uh-huh.
by the door.
That was a close one. That was so close. We can't do this again.
Never again.
Yeah, but he still won later on.
Yeah.
Those are
too bad.
some of my favorite moments. Do you have any favorite moments when you're looking back?
I mean, I'm really proud of Carlos Sainz for the Australian Grand Prix win with the appendix out and coming back and just winning
That
that,
was this
race.
year?
That was this year.
Wow, this has been a long
That was
year.
Max blowing up the brake caliper race. And
Okay.
I remember I don't think I've ever cheered so much seeing a car have an explosion in the pit lane before. I was
Oh,
like,
right. It
"Yeah!"
shot out sideways.
Yeah, it was the craziest looking thing, but I
Yeah.
knew the car was toast. I was like, whatever just happened meant the race is over. Great news.
Yeah, that was great.
So off the top of my head, Carlos Sainz winning in Australia was for sure up there. I think that just the fact that we had a variety of winners
Yeah.
all year long was just so cool.
Kept us all on our toes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sergio wasn't one of them. There was a lot of race
Yeah.
winners this year.
Yeah.
And it was Charles, Lando, Oscar Piastri. So Oscar's and here's what makes me so mad is that like Oscar's first win to me was such a load of BS.
Was that this year?
Yes.
Jeez, this year has been.
If I was going to
full
say
of
a moment of frustration from the season, that was
Yeah.
such a big one.
Yeah.
Because they shouldn't have undercut him with Lando. They shouldn't have put themselves in that position. It was stupid.
Yeah.
But I am glad that Oscar won races. I actually thought that Lando gained a few bonus points with me for disobeying the team in Qatar and giving Piastri that sprint win. Did you guys see this? He got all the way to the line. He led the entire sprint race. And then as they came to the line, he just backed off enough to give Piastri the win.
I didn't know that.
And the team was like, don't do it. They're too close. You're too
Don't-
close. Because
don't do
I think
it.
who was
chasing?
Was it Max that was in third? Or it might have been Charles or
it's
George.
Risky.
But it was really close. And so
Yeah.
the team was like, no. And he just it made it happen.
Wow. Cool.
But anyways, I was like, kudos to Lando for paying some respect to his teammate that moved over a number of times for him. And then didn't win the championship anyways, but
I think it was a throwaway.
a throwaway.
What do you mean throwaway?
I think that he did it to be like, oh, like I returned the favor,
Yeah.
but it's like he didn't really return the favor.
Yeah, so what Kevin's saying is that he's returning a favor, but he isn't because it wasn't actually a moment where it mattered.
Yeah. It's a sprint race at the
Yeah.
end of the season.
Yeah.
Championship's already kind of been decided.
It's already decided.
And both McLarens are going to score the points anyway.
Right.
So the points are still going to be
And it
there.
doesn't put Lando in a position
Yeah,
of losing
Lando.
third either. Yeah. But anyways, I mean, he sucks, but anyways. But yeah, I can't remember anything other than that.
But
than
another highlight
Haas
is that
getting-
Haas getting P7.
Yeah, and Nico Hulkenberg getting a P4 in qualifying to me is still just like, that's almost as awesome as the pole position in
Yeah.
Brazil. It's really huge.
What did I say? That this is their highest finish, second highest finish in
Yeah.
his constructors?
Yeah.
It's so great.
It's so great. It shows such a good upwards trend, and with Toyota coming on board and so much stuff, there's just so much promise
Yeah.
moving forward.
This year has been so fun to watch Haas. I'm just going to be so sad to not see Nico and Kevin as teammates.
Yeah.
They were the best teammates I think I've ever seen.
And who would have expected it?
Yeah. for
We
real.
literally were like, "Ooh, was this a good call?" When they brought Nico
Yeah.
on, we're like, "Oh."
Yeah.
And this just ended up panning out to be incredible. Kevin, did you have a thought? Oh, okay. Sorry, I was reading body language incorrectly.
Okay. No worries.
What was your last thought in the notebook?
Oh, what was it? Did I say favorite moments? Senna, the series. The next year is that there's tons of young drivers.
Oh, okay. And do you want me to run through them from what I can remember off the top of my head?
Yeah, let's see if you can, because I can never remember the guy who's in Audi.
Oh, yeah, I can't either.
I don't know his name. Kevin's on it. But who do we have?
Isn't like Bortoletto or something like that? Or
Colapinto's not going to be racing.
no, he's out.
Okay, so he's out.
So you have
Liam Lawson,
Liam Lawson. You have Ollie Behrman,
Ollie Behrman,
Kimi
Andre
Antonelli.
Seidel, Kimi Antonelli,
Jack
Jack
then
Doohan,
You have Jack Doohan,
the guy in
and
Audi.
the Audi dude,
Yeah,
Audi duty, and that might be it.
just 5.
Just the 5, but there was a lot of drivers that were sacrificed at the hand of those 5.
Because last year there were no new drivers.
no,
And that was like the first time it ever happened in Formula One, where all the drivers just stayed in the same spot.
yeah,
pretty
where
much.
they just
Yeah.
cemented in for a season.
So it'll be fun to see a bunch of new drivers on the grid. And here's another question I had for you.
Yeah,
How many
Gabriel Bortoletto.
I did say it right, Bortoletto.
Javier Bortoletto?
Yeah,
Gabriel.
oh,
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle.
That's close to Javier.
Yeah.
Actually, Liam's not confirmed.
Liam's not confirmed.
Oh, he's not. He was only guaranteed 5 races this year. Okay.
Oh.
And it's because,
Hajar is coming in next year. That's right.
yeah, well, no, that's actually not confirmed either.
Oh, but he blew it on the media press day. Did you hear that?
Maybe my source is like dated, but they're waiting to see what happens with Checo.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
There's
Isaac,
still a few empty spots on the Red Bull family, and they're going to wait to shuffle those around.
so Liam would be,
Hajar is like,
Hajar. Who's this Hajar?
he races for Red Bull Academy,
Yeah.
and he's been in F2, and he,
F3 and F2.
yeah, he confirmed
You think it's
in a press day on accident that he's racing for Visa
okay?
Cash App next year for Racing Bulls,
Okay.
which would mean that Liam is either graduating
Or Yuki is.
or Yuki is.
Okay. Oh,
So one
interesting.
of those seats is moving.
Okay.
Or they replace Checo with Carlos Sainz, and something changes that we don't know.
Interesting. So still possibilities for shakeups.
There's still there always is.
Interesting.
With Red Bull,
Yeah.
there always is.
Here's another question I had for you. How many power units are now going to be on the grid next year?
Next year is still the same. It changes next year. Oh,
So we have Mercedes,
correct.
Ferrari,
Correct.
Ford.
Is Ford coming in next year, or is it 26?
I don't know.
Is 26, I believe.
Okay, so not Ford. Is Renault still making power units
I believe for one more year.
for one more year?
I think so.
Is Honda making power units?
Yes.
And Audi, will they be making their power unit next year?
I believe not until 26.
So, okay. So just 4 next year.
I believe that they stay the same. And then when the 26 regs kick off,
We will have Ford,
we will have Ford,
Audi, and Cadillac.
and Cadillac may be providing a power unit. Do you know that for sure?
They're gonna be the Ferrari for a couple years.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But Renault dropped off
Okay.
for 26, and they will be running Mercedes power units as per the press releases.
Okay. Interesting.
So we are losing a power unit, but we are gaining one as well with Audi.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah,
And Ford.
lots of things to change. And Ford. Yeah. Let's get it.
There'll be net 3 new in the 26 regulation.
Okay. 3 new ones net as per Kevin's. He's got executive titles at work. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, we don't know the.
I only know.
Kevin, what time is? What are we at?
50.
We're doing a time check here, folks.
Okay.
50 minutes.
Should we start wrapping this up? Because I have been noticing one thing. What?
Well, no, I'm just waiting to hear what you have to say.
It's interesting. What are your thoughts seeing all of the footage of Brad Pitt everywhere?
It's ruining the movie.
Yeah, it is. Is one ruining the movie?
It's ruining the movie.
We all know that.
We
It's
know
like,
that-
well, he wins the Mexican Grand Prix.
We know that he crashes.
He crashes in Las Vegas.
and passes out.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he wins in Abu Dhabi.
Uh-huh.
And is on the podium with George Russell and Charles Leclerc.
That's what I saw today, and I was like, I don't like George as an actor. Obviously, I hate everything George does. Like, he can't do anything right.
Tell us how
in
you
my
really
eyes.
feel. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
But like, even like Charles and George both being like champagne, like they do not look like good actors.
No, not at all. Could we have picked 2 drivers that could actually do this?
Also, does Brad Pitt look like a Formula One driver?
No, he never has. This is my whole beef with the movie to begin with. He's
I thought-
60 years old.
Oh, he looks 30. We all agree he looks 30.
I mean, he
Yeah.
looks handsome and young, but he's
yeah.
also 60 to me.
But
Yeah.
I'm just saying in terms of like his attitude when he's like winning the Mexican Grand Prix, like it doesn't feel like an actual driver's emotions in that moment.
I don't know.
Or when he's being sprayed by champagne.
I also don't feel like Lewis does a good job of that. So I
Yeah.
think that, like, I don't know. And he's the one that's producing this. So maybe that's Brad Pitt's problem.
Maybe it's Lewis's direction.
Yeah, is that Lewis is sliding on his knees with the British flag after almost killing his
True. It's true.
whatever his
Yeah.
opponent.
It's crazy that they're still filming stuff. Doesn't it come out next year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of editing to be done between then and now.
Yeah. But honestly, it's gonna be rad.
I mean, it's going to be a
To
great
get
movie.
like footage with real drivers, with real crowds, real cars. It's very different than Senna.
Yeah, totally. And it's also really geared at a different audience than us. Like, it's funny because I'm like, I know that I am going to want to like this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm going to really want to enjoy it. But like us seeing this stuff, I know exactly what Formula One's thinking. This is about new fans.
Yeah, they are.
It's the drive to survive of the future.
Yeah, it is.
So it's like, it doesn't matter that we're seeing the cheesy fall in Vegas, and
It is cheesy
like,
fall.
Yeah,
I've
like,
never seen an F1 driver get out of his car and collapse.
just collapse. I've seen a Formula One driver burst into flames in his car and then jump out of it with one shoe.
Maybe they'll CGI in the flames. We don't know.
But all that to say that it's not meant to really harness my passion for the sport. It's meant to get new people excited about it.
Collapse in Vegas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a shot of him like getting out of the car and just like falling onto the
Why
track.
wouldn't that be like Singapore, where it's hot?
Yeah, that would make more sense.
Oh,
As opposed to being-
Kevin's saying that it might be the Singapore race because it's a night race and it's hot,
Yeah.
and they could make it look like that.
Yeah.
Vegas race is cold.
Vegas
Yeah,
race is cold.
it's very cold.
But what if he got hit so hard that he had to get out of his car then fall?
What if he got so hit so hard in Singapore that he got out of his car in Vegas?
Oh, yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah, exactly.
What if these things are like dream sequences? where he wins the Mexican Grand Prix and he's visualizing it, and then he races and he doesn't win.
Or it's a Carlos Amezcua dream, which is that
He is Senna.
Yes. No, my dad. I'm not kidding you. This happened to me when I was a kid. Here's the ending story.
Yeah.
He woke up one morning and was like, "I had the most vivid dream that I raced in the Mille Miglia," and he's like, "I've never heard of that. I need to go do research."
Okay.
And he went and discovered the Mille Miglia. None of us had ever heard of it before.
Okay.
But I learned about that race when I was like 8 years old because my dad had this crazy vivid dream of racing an old Alfa Romeo through Italy on the 1,000-mile race.
It's what they show in
the Ferrari movie. Yeah.
Okay.
The one that
Wow.
released with
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver, yeah. And anyways, so crazy. I've never forgotten that.
Weird.
And my dad still talks about it all the time. He's like, "No, like that time I raced in the Mille Miglia."
Is that Carlos? Is your dad Carlos?
Yes,
Sainz?
he does that every once in a while. That time I raced in the Mille Miglia. Is a good race. So, but anyways, all that to say, I think hats off to Verstappen for winning the championship.
Mm-hmm.
Hats off to McLaren for pulling off the World Constructors Championship for the first time
in like
since
decades.
1998.
1998. David Coulthard.
And Mika Hakkinen.
Mm-hmm.
This is the last time they won the championship.
There you go.
As a constructor.
And congrats to Haas, P7.
Congrats to Haas. Everybody who participated this season, it really was the best F1 season in a very long time.
Yeah. Well, cool. Thank you for watching. Hopefully we'll do more of these live streams. If you like it, like, subscribe, follow us, share us.
Leave a comment so we know that you dug it.
Yeah, leave comments. We love comments, questions. We'll answer them on the next one, whatever. Just, yeah. Thanks for following us along.
And in the future, we might answer them live.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Definitely leave us a comment. Thanks, guys.